It's new bike day. Don't tell my wife. So the other day, I had a very interesting phone call regarding some bikes that were dealer samples and the ability to purchase those bikes extremely cheap. So I wound up buying two. And whenever I say that these bikes were cheap, I mean just the value of the frame alone on this bike is essentially what I paid for it. So today we're going to unbox it, go over all of its quirks and features, and discuss whether it was worth the money. That felt really stupid. Looks like it's all there. In this box, I am expecting to find a dark blue carbon framed Fox fork and suspension Berea Mako Sport. Now this is a 100mm of travel cross-country mountain bike, and I did get it in a size small. The reason for doing that is this bike is not mine. This bike is going to be my wife's bike whenever we go out on cross-country rides. Now that we live here in beautiful Colorado, her hardtail is not really cutting it for a lot of the trails out here. So, time to upgrade her, and especially for the price that I paid, there's really no risk if she doesn't end up loving the bike. So, let's get to it. I'm going to get it up in the stand and set this off to the side so I don't trip over it. Now, you may have noticed that this bike had a bunch of random pool noodles, it had a bunch of different tape on it, and it didn't quite look like factory packaging. That's because it's not. This bike was actually assembled, it was a dealer sample, it got ridden, repackaged, boxed up, and sent to me at a discount. I'm going to finish putting this bike together, let's go over any type of damage, see what actually the bike is once it's all assembled, and then I want to tell you exactly how you can get your hands on a dealer sample bike just like this at an extreme discount. Let's get to work. The bike is built, and to my surprise, everything was in the box and we are missing no bolts, no components, nothing at all. So I'm quite happy about that. The only thing I did notice were a few scratches on the Black Fox fork up here, but they're mostly on that sticker, and you know what? I think that's already looking a lot better. Don't be mad at me, but I did go ahead and ride this bike. Kind of spoiled it. But I had every intention to do some pre-ride impressions, and then I just wanted to go ride my bike, so I went and rode it, put a few miles down, and now I think I can give you a much clearer idea of what exactly this bike is. A few key things that I really enjoy about this bike are the fact that being full carbon, it is extremely light. Now, one interesting thing that happened whenever I went to go ride it is this bike is actually a size small. I normally ride a medium on my enduro bike, but for whatever reason, the geometry on this bike, it almost seemed to fit me better than even the bike that I'm more comfortable on does. So, kind of got me thinking about sizing down for next season, but going back to this, you get a Fox full suspension on this bike, so it rides like a dream. SRAM NX drivetrain, which is pretty much what I run on that bike, just the higher end version of it in the pretty colors. So, shifting wise, geometry wise, and ride quality, this bike is fantastic, especially for the money. Now, a few things about this bike is it's really tailored towards an XC rider. Clint Gibbs did a video on this bike since he rides more that style as well as gravel, and I think that if you're looking to truly review this bike for that reason, his video might be better suited for you. I'll put a link down to that down below. Now, when it comes to this bike, I didn't purchase it for cross-country riding, so there are some features on here that I'm actually going to end up removing. And I know that you might be thinking, why did you buy an XC bike with all these XC features if you're just going to take them off? It's because of the pricing that this bike was at, and the fact that it was a dealer sample. I bought this bike, just did the old man ring tap. I bought this bike for the frame. I bought it for the frame, the fact that it came with the NX drivetrain, and that's kind of it. That was really the value that I saw in it. And so, yeah, if I was an XC rider and she was too, I'd leave this bike alone. Other than that, the frame, the fact that it's got the NX drivetrain and the suspension on this bike, even though some of it's going to change, I can easily just swap it. This bike is so going to be perfectly tailored for what I want to do with it and at the price point that it completely makes sense just to pick this bike up for that part alone. Now, I'm the kind of person who, through the way that I coach and teach and train people, I really don't like bikes the way that they typically come. And that's just who I am as a person, I guess. And a lot of that has to do with coming from a background of building frame up on most of my bikes and speccing every single component. So I really do get very granular when it comes to looking at geometry numbers, the way things are going to ride, and how components are going to interact with each other. And on this bike, again, I can take a lot of the components that are already spec'd, ready to roll on this bike, change just a few, and get exactly what I want and exactly what I think is going to fit the riding style of my wife and what we plan to do with this bike. Now, let's get into the interesting part about this and how you can actually buy one of these dealer sample bikes for yourself. And now the part of this video that I think everybody's been waiting for. We've seen videos in the past from Burn Peak or Burn Peak Express talking about what happens to demo bikes or YouTube bikes once a season is over. They get swapped out every single season. But that's not the only people who get demo bikes. Bike shops get them so they can look and understand the product better. People like Vittoria Tires, I know for sure that they got 4 of these demo bikes this past season, and those are actually going to be coming up for sale. And other companies like that get these bikes, they ride them a little bit, sometimes they just assemble them, and sometimes they just put them back in the box. They don't touch them because they're busy. And these bikes at the end of a season, if they do get called back, which these did, they just go and they sit. There's nothing to do with them other than find some way to sell them off cheap or kind of get rid of them because they can't be sold as a new bike, but they do carry a full factory warranty, being the fact that whoever buys it is by all technical specs a first time owner of the bike. So that is the best part about this. And whenever I was talking to my connection in the bike industry about purchasing this one, he actually told me that he's sitting on quite a few of these. And they aren't just the XC version, there's also the DC version. And whenever I got to asking, I said, hey, do you care about who I, discuss this with? And he said, no, it's fine. If you've got somebody, that might be interested in picking up a bike at a really steep discount, let me know. And I think that he inferred from that conversation, in fact, I'm positive he did, that I was just referring to family and friends. Well, you're part of the Evo 1 family, so I'm going to put it here on YouTube, tell you about it. I'm going to put a link down below with a list of these bikes and what they're priced at. And if you're interested, there'll be a contact form. Just fill it out with which bike you're interested in purchasing. I'll forward that information on to him. He'll probably put it together once he starts getting a bunch of these, but in the meantime, it's great while it lasts. And if I can pass along some value to y'all, then fantastic. Get you on a new bike. Even if you're not interested in getting a brand new bike for the rollers, buddy bike, loaner bike, spouse, father-in-law, I've got one of those coming. So anyways, go check out that link. Go pick up one of these bikes. Some of them, again, brand new in the box. Some of them have been assembled. Some of them have been ridden. Some of them do have little scratches on the fork that you can fix with a Sharpie. But for the price that these bikes are listed at, you can't even get into an aluminum budget suspension bike for the same amount of money. And instead you're getting a 1-year-old dealer sample bike that comes with a full warranty. You really can't beat it. Anyways, I hope y'all go check that out. I hope you get on a new bike. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you on the next video.